in
All right.
groups.
I'll send over the reference photo again for right now, so you have it in color, and then I'll send over the black and white. And also I added grids for those if you're just drawing today with pencil. So something that I have learned with pastels, especially pastels, why I'm sending it over for those who don't know in black and white is to really learn to see the value changes. Values meaning your lights and your darks. So it's really useful, even when you're picking your palette for pastels, take a picture of your pastels right now if you want, turn it to black and white, and you will see the value changes. Sometimes when we're looking at them, we don't know what a medium value looks like. What does that look like? What is a dark? I mean, we can see darks, but sometimes when you're seeing a brighter hue, meaning color, it is hard to see. So use that on your phone. You can switch it to a grayscale, and I use it all the time. So that's a really great tip. Today's class, what I really wanted to emphasize is how to create a good composition when you have so much detail in a picture, and how do we create depth using our values that I just talked about, lights and darks. So that's what I'm going to teach today. In this picture, I know that Leah has been teaching, I think this week, just tulips by themselves. And what I want to do is not really focus on one tulip. I just want you to think about, how do I deal with all this detail and on a small space? Something that Leah's been talking about as well. When you have a limited space that you're painting on, we can't add too much detail. Why? Because then where does the viewer's eye go to? And that's what composition is. What's our focal point? Where are we leading our viewer's eye? So in this demonstration, I want to talk about what is called an S-curve. And I'll send a picture over. And we're going to create essentially a pathway to the back of our painting. We're going to have just a few flowers in the front, and we're going to lead the viewer's eye to the back of the painting. And I'll show you a picture I drew on it, just so you know what I'm talking about.
Sorry, Mary, what was the word? Marie, what was the word? An S-cut?
S-curve. So like the letter S.
Oh, S-curve. Like sorry.
Yeah. And you can do, they call it all, zigzag, but essentially you're creating a pathway to the back. This is one type of a composition, and setting up elements, meaning your shapes, your lines, your values. So I drew it on the picture to kind of give you an idea. Does anyone have any questions before we start? So the first step in...
Sorry, Marie, quick question.
Yeah.
In the grid, you have it split into 3, right? 3 vertically and 4 horizontally? In the top
the sky is kind of cut off, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it might be because I scrunched it down a little bit, because really what we're going to be focusing is the front of the picture, the foreground.
Hi, Claudia.
Okay, so how do we start? That's always a question. I see all these flowers and I see, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? So we have to just, like I said, first things first, what's our focal point? It's going to be the center of our flowers here in the front. And then we're really not going to worry about the detail in the back. So I'm going to switch my camera and begin. So, and for those who haven't, yes.
Are we going to use the grid work too for this or no? So are we going to use the grid paper?
You can. I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
I would guess if you're going to actually work in pastels, try to follow Marie's drawing without the grid. The
Okay.
drawing here is pretty simple. If you are
Okay.
just fully working with pencil on the grid, you should use the grid.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if people are
Thank you.
having trouble, you have to, of course, set that grid up on your paper using a pencil and a ruler or folding. So that's the big thing.
And you can, you know, you can draw like, here's your center, you know, here's your center, if that helps. And you can set it up that way and kind of, or you can even make marks on your pastel paper. I mean, you're fine in doing that. This is compositionally, this is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna have, you know, here's the top piece, the sky, and we have just this piece for where the horizon's gonna be, and then this piece for the foreground. So I'm kind of breaking it up into sections. And there's a lot of detail over here, and I'm not gonna really, you can add it in, but my focal point's gonna be here. And so when I'm thinking about designing my composition, that's really what I'm looking at. Shapes, where I want the viewer's eye to come back here, you know. And so when I go to lay this out on my my pastel paper, that's what I'm thinking about. So I'm gonna just kind of come in. This is just a pastel, it's a new pastel. It's like a navy, dark blue. You can use whatever you would like, a pencil. I tend to draw with the new pastel. I also have one here in like a dark purple I can use. It doesn't really matter. This is just laying out kind of a roadmap, so to speak. And I'm just kind of, sorry, I'm kind of at an angle here. So, and if I were to kind of ignore this detail over here, we would end up with this right dead center in the picture. So I'm going to take my artistic license and move these trees over a little bit more. Why?
And Marie,
because
what color are you using? I'm sorry, I missed that. What color is that?
this is purple. You can use blue, purple. It doesn't
It's
really
not,
matter.
I just want to emphasize this is not black. So we try to avoid using black except in certain situations.
Yeah, I don't.
It looks black on the Zoom.
Oh, does it?
It's not black. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of put in these trees off to here because I want the focal point over here. And so I'm just kind of adding some trees, very light. And let's see here. So I know that it's kind of dark underneath the trees, the shadow, and it's lighter off to the left because the sun is coming this way. So I'm thinking, okay, I want some lighter values. So let's see here. Probably this is like an orange. And I'm just kind of laying it down. And let's see here. Creating my pathway. This is like a rusty reddish brown.
Hey, Marie, can you take a picture of your underpainting colors on
Yes.
the palette and send it over before you go any farther, just so people can see? So you may not be ready to start this yet, but you can start gathering these colors while
Sure.
Marie works. So
I'll do it right here. I generally, yeah.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
Let me get a picture here. And then I'll take a picture.
So you guys can see these really clearly. If you've got colors that are close to this is what you're going to want to start with. Go ahead, Marie. Sorry.
Okay. Oops. I'm just wiping off my hands here. Okay. So this is just like a map essentially where I'm just kind of laying out my darks. We know that it's darker kind of here in the front foreground, right? Because not as much light is coming here. It becomes warmer. And we've got lighter colors in the back. It's cooler. And I'm just laying in these colors. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then the lightest lights is our sky. And I'm just gonna lay that in. Probably see a little bit of these little trees here.
So once again, we're going to give it, once Marie stops, gets the underpainting done, she's going to stop so you guys can catch up. So you can try going along with her, or you can just try gathering your pastels. We're learning on this too. Let to slow down because we'd like to give you a finished product at the end of this. Obviously, if you're working with pencil and paper or charcoal, you're just going to be sketching out the shapes, light and dark shapes. But if you want to, you can also follow along and maybe sketch out this underpainting too, and just do it in black and white. That is a possibility.
Okay, so I know when I started doing pastels and trying to figure out why did you pick these colors? So, and you might be asking like, why of all colors am I choosing these? So I want to address that. Right now, for those who are following along, go ahead and send in your sketches with the underpainting colors on.
When you're done, yeah.
Yeah, I'll pause right now and just kind of talk while you're busy doing it. But so I'm thinking about like daytime, the mood of the day. It's warm, it's sunny. And even though we see a lot of pink with the flowers, there is a lot of foliage, like green. And so in order to get that green to vibrate, I'm picking more of its complementary color, the reddish. And I know it's warmer, so I'm kind of going to the red-orange colors. So that's why I chose the red and the orange for in the foreground, because it's kind of like that complementary color of the green. And I think it will, when I lay that green on top of it, it's just going to really vibrate, like I said. With the distant trees, I chose purple because I know I'm going to come back in with some lighter green. I think it would look really nice and kind of tie in with the painting. And I like adding color, and I think that it would look really nice.
Okay, Jean, do you have a warmer orange you can put on the foreground in the light areas? Because that's a very cool pink color.
Yeah.
I'm not that's what you've got? That's it? That's what you're using? Yeah, use that orange. Yeah. So
there you go.
Yeah. Those are the colors you want to use. See the difference? Sandra, take a look at, go ahead.
Okay, Sandra. All right, so go ahead and yeah.
She needs to be darker, right? Her she needs to do her road darker.
Yep. And a little bit, yeah, whiter.
That's good, Julia.
Yep.
Janet, so this S that you guys are doing is very thin. I want you to look at the shape that Marie has. You're doing like a Z almost, but remember that roads get thicker as they come closer to you. So notice that the base of her road covers everything. It's really more like a back or a diagonal L.
Kind of, yeah, it is.
Go ahead. You can.
There we go.
So I think William needs to do the same thing, extend out his dark area in the.
Yep, extend it out into the bottom piece. Yep. I know, it feels different. It's hard. What we're doing is we're building from the bottom up. If we were just to add in the flowers, and the detail, it wouldn't look right. It would be too overwhelming. So we're breaking this down to the very bottom, the dirt. We're looking at the dirt. What's underneath all of this? And we're thinking about what are we gonna lay at the final end on top? We're gonna have some bright yellows and peaches, and how's that gonna look? So that's how we're looking at it. Okay, good, Claudia. Good. Anya, I would try and darken up a little bit more in the foreground if you can, in here with your blue. Don't be afraid. Good. Oh, okay. So so Jane, with your oil pastels, do you have something like a cloth that you're going to rub that in for your underpainting, or are you using like mineral spirits or something, or oil?
Not quite sure. What do you recommend?
You can use, I've heard you can use oil. I'm not very familiar with the oil pastels. I believe you can use like turpentine with it. I would, if you have some oil, try it. Okay, good, Jeannie, that's good. That's better. Good, good, Mira. Good, Sandra, that's much better. Good. Job, Linda. Job, Cindy. Okay. Yeah, much better. Well, good. Okay.
Yeah.
So, for those who have the pastels, I'm going to be doing the underpainting with isopropyl alcohol. This is what it is, 70%. And I'm just going to pour it in my container like I have in the past. And what we're doing is we're going to basically dissolve these pastels and set them into our sanded paper. And what this does, if we get our underpainting right, then we come back in with some soft pastels, and we don't have to do a whole lot to it. So that is, take your time with your underpainting. It is a very important part of our painting. Okay.
Oh, okay. You're using a brush.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, what do you apply it with? But I can see your brush, so that's good.
Yep. So I'm just using this angle brush. You can use any brush, and I'm just dipping it and brushing out the excess of the rubbing alcohol. And what we want to do is we want to go into our lightest lights and work our way to our darkest, because essentially it's going to turn it into paint for those who haven't done this before. And you can see I'm painting just like I would be painting oil or acrylics. I'm taking my time. Drips are okay. And I'm just coming in. If I were to go into the center area, it would just get dark, and then I would drag it into my lighter areas, and I'm trying to avoid that. I want to preserve the lights as best as I can. And
I love watching these because although, as I jokingly said, I've molded Marie into the teacher I need, she does things totally, she doesn't do things totally differently, but she makes very independent decisions that I wouldn't necessarily make, and I like watching. It's very pro. I love it. I'm like, what's she gonna do next? I don't know.
Sometimes that is the part of it. I don't know either. I'm winging it. Sometimes it's like you're learning along with me too.
Well,
think
it means
that
you have a pretty solid, what I guess that means is every artist has their own process. They're working with the basic. What I'm trying to teach and what she's trying to teach you are basics so that you can then, you know, wing it on your own,
that's right.
as it says. So it's an interesting thing. Like her color choices are very interesting. I like it. I mean, they're totally working for me and I get it, but I wouldn't necessarily do it quite the same way. So I like that. It's fun to watch. Notice
Yeah.
how she's doing the little pieces, the light pieces first. Did you say that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to preserve my lights and take your time. We're not in any rush. You're not going to ruin your painting if you get dark into your light. This again is just setting up. We're essentially toning our paper, and rather than painting on something that's completely white. I know for some you can get already tone sanded paper, and I love it. And I'll still sometimes do an underpainting on those. So it's all up to what you would like to do. I'm just coming back in here now, thinking about where I'm going to be laying my colors on top. Notice I'm dragging my brush this way in a horizontal. I'll come back over it and then I'll come back a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit.
so you're doing a horizontal and then sort of a vertical. Slightly.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. Why are you doing that, Marie? Are you trying to get your brush strokes to suggest direction?
Yep. So what you're doing is you're kind of, obviously when we go further into the back, things lay flat. The plane is flat. As we move forward, we see more detail and things become vertical. So what I'm doing with my brush is that very same thing. I'm going horizontal, and as I move closer, I'm bringing my brush vertical. That's how I'm going to paint my
Is it important to get rid of all the white space?
You don't have to, but I think you should, because you're
more layers, the better.
Yeah, and we don't want them really. I feel like it gets too bright and distracting. So, yeah, try to.
Just like paintings that we've been practicing during the week, you guys, with acrylic right now, you should cover your whole canvas with color. This underpainting, the idea, you can let, as you can see, Marie has some areas where more light is coming through, but she still has a little bit of color everywhere.
Yep.
And once she's done this, she'll stop and watch. You guys can talk. And one of the things I want to emphasize that I'm seeing that I really appreciate and I want to confirm is that we've been hearing a lot about Zoom fatigue, right? We've been hearing a lot about it. And I think what's happening is when people are in a meeting on Zoom, it's exhausting to just sit and look at somebody and have to be there for an hour, 2 hours, right? Staring at the screen, not having any of the information that you can usually get from somebody in a in-person meeting, right? There's a lot of cues we pick up, not being able to do that. So I really encourage, I see Sandra doing it, Mira, Anya, like I encourage turning off your video. I think it's important for us to start and end where we can see each other, but after that, like part of the weariness of the Zoom is actually looking, you know, having to be on and also gain information from whoever you're meeting with. So feel free to turn your video off so you don't have to worry about that. Feel free, even though you're looking at the screen, of course, you're mostly, you know, looking at your painting that's there physically in the room with you. So that should make a difference. That's beautiful, Marie. Anyway, I just wanted to emphasize that because we've been hearing a lot about it from our colleagues. I want to see the difference between this kind of Zoom experience and others.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh my God, it's so different to see it in person. Be aware that the Zoom screen, you're not seeing the real colors. There's not a thing we can do about that. It's just as good as it gets, which is why we have the WhatsApp chat screen. You'll look on it and you'll see it's so much more vibrant.
I can turn off this light maybe if that does that.
It's a little bit better, but still. Yeah, it's
Still.
better actually. That's better, but still you can't see it the way you can see it on the screen.
I know, that's the tough part.
By the way, guys, spend a moment just to notice and maybe write a word or two down about how you're feeling right now. And even if you can, remember how you felt when you got into class. We'll return to this at the end of class and see if anything has shifted. All right, go ahead, Marie, sorry.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Leah, because it is really important to think about how you're feeling
and if things change, which they usually do.
Yeah. It is. It's nice. And I'm just kind of letting it dry right now. So for those who are painting, go ahead and send in when you're done so I can look at it. This is honestly one of my favorite parts. And sometimes the underpainting is just, I could just leave it. I feel like it can be so beautiful.
Sometimes you can.
Yeah, I really do. I absolutely love it. And I just have noticed that some artists choose to do a wet underpainting. This is considered a wet underpainting. You can use a dry underpainting. Oh, nice. Nice, Natalia.
Beautiful.
Cool. Oh, wow.
So Anya, if you have spray, a spray fixative, you could use that.
I was just gonna say, yeah, use the.
Actually, I have some sort of oil which I got.
No, not oil, not oil. Absolutely.
I mean, I already use it, but it's like, it's not exactly oil. But I have its name in Polish, so I don't think it will help.
No. Don't put anything oil near these. That's not going to work. That will destroy your paper. It'll destroy your colors. You can't put oil on paper. And the point of oil, and I want you to think about this really clearly, so the point of oil is that it sinks into whatever you're painting on, and it helps, and it keeps things wet. Alcohol products dry things out, and that's what you want, particularly when you're working. Yeah, do not use oil ever.
Well, I already put it, so I'll see what.
Right, okay, you'll see what happens, but just know that that's generally not a good idea. It just isn't the right material. What you're going for is something so a spray works, a spray fixative works, hairspray works, but oil will kind of ruin your, it'll cause your paper to fall apart, basically.
Yeah, it's with the oil pastels, I don't know what you can use with it. I'm not familiar with it.
I think there's probably fixatives, and I don't think is she using oil pastels?
I don't know. I can't tell. What are you using?
Oil pastels.
Okay.
I use just regular pastels.
What do you mean regular? What does that mean? Are they like chalk or are they like crayons? That's not, there's two different kinds.
Like dry pastels.
Dry pastels. So they look like chalk.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
That looks like an oil pastel to me.
I know, that's what it, that's
Sorry,
what
honey,
I
that's
thought.
not a dry pastel. So a dry pastel is like chalk. It flakes off. An oil pastel is like a crayon. It kind of has a waxy substance. It has a waxy feeling to it. So anyway, they're oil pastels.
Yeah.
They're not dry pastels. We can tell by the marks that are being made. All right, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Just just try it, Anya, but know that those things don't behave the way the pastels that we're using do. And take a closer look at Anya, take a closer look at the supply list. It's got information for you. Yeah, no, these are not dry pastels. They are wet, they are sort of oil pastels, which means they're a little bit fluidy. They don't apply like chalk. So that's the only
Right.
thing we want to say. But it's okay. We've had some success. Ooh, Linda, very nice.
Yeah.
We've had some success with them, but I
Yeah.
want you to like pay attention to your materials.
Right. And that's well, I mean, I'm here to help see what you can get like materials, because I mean, it is important to have really good materials, and I know that can be an expense. So, but it is worth investing in some good things, because your results are you're gonna know. You're
And
gonna see
William,
it.
that looks great. Mira, that looks good, but your back area needs to be much darker.
Yep.
So you should consider using a dark blue pastel on this back. Marie, can you point to the area where she needs to push it up?
Back in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to get darker, way
Okay.
darker.
And
Like
see-
Julia's very dark,
Yeah.
very nice. Although Julia, is that a black pastel you're using?
It does look black.
We want to avoid black.
No, it's navy.
Oh, it's navy. Interesting.
Oh.
Okay, it just must be the colors.
Yeah.
Linda, you want to get a little darker too with your purple back there. Maybe go over with a little bit of blue.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that looks great.
Hmm.
So Nina, chalk and soft pastels are the same thing. That's what we're meaning when we say soft pastel. Soft pastel just means the pastel kind of flakes off like chalk. So you're in good shape.
Good job.
Yeah. And don't worry. And like I said, don't worry, Anya, I don't mean to be difficult or like, I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just saying, I want to make sure when we talk about what we're talking about, we're talking about the same materials.
Yeah, but
Well-
I'm really surprised now because it says soft pastels, and I didn't have, like, I was so sure that they're not oil pastels. So now I'm
And
just
send over pictures so we can look. Your marks look like oil pastels. They might be soft pastels. Send it over.
Couldn't it be because she applied oil already? So maybe the mix of the two
Yeah.
just make it look
Maybe
like
that's
oil
what it looks
pastels.
like. But it looks,
Yeah,
it just, can you send us anyway, send across a picture of a, let's see. Ooh. Hey, Marie, you keep working and you keep looking at people's stuff and
No,
I'll take
and
a look.
and why? I mean, it is
Nice,
good to talk
Tanya.
about the supplies part of it, because if you're not seeing results of like what's happening with mine, you're going to get frustrated. So we do need to make sure that we're all kind of trying to get the same type of
Let's see.
supplies as best as we can. So
Oh, you're right. These are soft. These are soft. Yep,
Yeah.
these are soft. Sorry.
Okay.
It was just, you're good. You're right. You're good. You're good.
yeah,
So
just
know
about the
that
oil on top, I guess.
So oil will, yeah, so just know that your oil is not going to help you, but it'll do something. So we'll see what that is.
Yeah, no.
And in fact, that's an interesting point because an oil pastel, that's why your pastels look like oil to us, because you put oil on them. So when you mix oil with paint pigment, that's the kind of consistency you get. It's kind of a choppy, more crayony, waxy. Okay.
Yep.
Great. So we're close. We're so close, Anya, to getting all the stuff. All right. Go
No,
ahead.
we're definitely getting everyone where they need to be. Okay, so the next step, we've masked in our shapes. We've set it to our paper. So underpainting now is dry. Now we need to go back in and reinforce our darks. We start from our darks and we're going to work up to our lights. We're not worried about detail right now. We're just going to come back
Good,
in
Sandra.
and we're going to look at what our darks are on our painting. And I'm going to start with the trees in the distance. As we move in the distance, they're cooler, they're lighter, they're duller.
They're bluer. They're
And they are bluer. And so I'm going to go with a blue-green tree, and I'm going to go in a little darker, knowing that I'm going to add my lights at the end. So this is a like
So
a
now you're
blue-green.
switching to real pastels as opposed to new pastels and stuff like that, right?
You can still use new pastel, Sandra. That's totally fine. I'm using a soft pastel, but I have a new pastel if I wanted to use it too.
But you might as well switch now you've done the underpainting, right?
Yeah. At this point, I'm just really trying to come in exactly and just I'm looking at the trees. I'm not really worried about detail, but notice I have my pastel on its side. And
so this is
Marie,
Marie, do you want to take a picture of these pastels that you're going to put on the next layer so people can start to gather them?
Yeah, is that a dark green that you're using, Marie?
Yes.
I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
take a
All right.
picture, gather your pastels together for this next layer and take a picture of them. Yeah, there you go. So if you guys can gather colors that look a bit like that.
So those are my trees. And like I said, I kind of laid out some colors here, but I'll send a color of it or send the palette again, the picture.
And you guys may not have as many colors as Marie has, so don't feel pressure to get all of them, but this grouping is where the trees are. So there's kind of a lot of warm greens, some darks, some cool blues, if you can see, light blue and a dark blue.
When I was thinking about the colors and my palette, I was thinking about just what Leah said, cooler, bluer, and I'm thinking about colors that I'm gonna lay down, and that's how I'm picking my palette. I'm working in stages, thinking about what I'm gonna lay down next, what I'm gonna put down next. I may have a lot more colors here than I'm gonna use, but I do know that I'm gonna start putting in some of my trees. Doesn't have to be perfect, okay? We're just reestablishing our dark
So
areas.
you guys can go along with this using these greens. If it's a little tricky to see the color, which it kind of is, it's a little darker. You can watch and start gathering your colors together. We'll give you a time. We'll give you time to do this. So
I
once
have
again,
a question.
Yes.
My green is not exactly the same, but if I mix, for example, navy with green, would that be
yeah,
okay?
totally. Yeah. So if you don't have, that's a great way to do it. If you don't have the colors that you see, but you think you've got colors that will help you mix.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, totally.
So one thing that I'm doing right now, if you can see, and I'll take a picture of this, is that I'm thinking about my light source all the time. And so, sorry, I'm covering up the picture right now. I'm just going to send you a picture. But I want to show you the difference in values and of the green. I know my light source is over here. And so if my light's shining, I know that I'm going to have the light shining on these trees, and I'll adjust a little bit. If I had light all the way across, it would just look really flat, wouldn't give us any depth. So I'm just this is my base. I'm just laying in.
So can you see that on one point she's got on the right she's got a darker green, and on the left she's got a kind of bluer green. It's still dark.
Still dark.
But it's slightly different greens. So if you can do that, if you've got dark, and that doesn't mean go to a lighter green. All these are very dark in value. So you want to stick with the darkest values here, but you can shift your colors. In the area that's lighter, the green is a little bit more vibrant and less mossy.
I do see a distant hill here in the back, and I always like to add additional planes if I can for visual interest. So I'm actually going to put that in right now, the hillside, and I'm using a purpley blue color, and I'll take a picture of it. I'm just going to come in here. Come down a little bit into the trees. And I can always adjust how far the hillside comes in. And
is that your little dog?
Oh yes,
Molly.
Molly.
Why did you lock her out?
Oh, she's not locked out. She's with the brother running around upstairs.
Oh, but she wants to be with you.
Yeah.
Sandra, you're like the animal whisperer. You can tell just by listening whether
Let her in. She'll be more relaxed.
Yeah.
Sandra does not have dogs, you guys, but she does have 3 cats, for those who don't know. And she is really good at like picking out.
Yeah, she's a puppy, and she has a really high pitch bark, and so we start dog lessons training here in a couple weeks. So
She might be more relaxed if you let her with you.
Will she bother you, Marie?
Yeah. Oh, she can't be in here. She would eat everything.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
In my studio. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she has been to the hospital, the vet, twice for eating things she shouldn't.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, she just she likes to play, and so okay. So let me take a picture here.
Here. And guys, notice as well, the blue that she's using in the background is significantly lighter in value. It's not the lightest, but it's definitely a light medium compared to the trees. So people's tendency is to make everything too light. You're a little afraid of dark. Notice that level of dark light value contrast that's happening back there as you're picking your colors.
Marie, could you show us on a piece of paper remarks that you make for the distant trees, please?
Oh, just do a little scribble?
Oh.
Yes, because mine never quite look like that.
Okay, so I just kind of go up like this, and I just lightly, like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's nice mark making. Great question, Sandra. Thank you. That's a
And then-
great thing for us to like know. Like, please feel free to ask about that.
Absolutely. And then with the smaller shrubs, I kind of tip it on the side here, and I just lightly pull up, because I know that when I come back in with the sky, I'll be able to come back in and carve around. So I can carve around my shape of what we call the negative shape of a tree. So if it's like bushy like this, and I make a mark like this, I know that I can come in with my sky color, and I can come and I can carve
Excellent.
to make that shape, and I can come in and make it the way I want. So when I initially make my first mark, it doesn't have to look like the tree, because I know that I can come in and carve around it. So yes, thank you. Good question, and it is good to ask about those things. And
great answer.
That's what I'm looking at and what I'm doing.
What she means by negative space is the space that is not the subject, which we know in a drawing or painting is as important as the subject itself, right? Our tendency is to focus on the subject, the tree, the flower, the path, the grass, and not to think about what's happening around it. But the space that is not those things is just as important.
So the negative space in this is this. This piece here is what I'm looking at. That would be the negative space. When I go to mass in, when I say mass in, I'm looking at this shape here, my darker trees, and I'm looking at this shape here, my lighter trees. So when I go back to my painting, that's what you see. You see the shape of the darker trees here, right? And then the lighter trees here. And I know I can change this. I can add them in here more. I can bring them down. I'm just looking at basic shapes right now, no detail. So negative shape is this, massing in are these. So always thinking focal point. Okay, so I've got my dark shapes in, and I think now I'm gonna add a little bit more of my dark, and I grabbed blue, which is not that bad, but I'm gonna add a little bit of green, and I'm just gonna come back over. This is a dark green, new pastel. You can use a soft pastel if you'd like, and I'm just kind of bringing it down my pathway. Very light touch, very light.
I don't understand the difference between new pastel and soft pastel.
Sure.
A new pastel is a
So,
brand.
let me show you on this piece of paper. So this is a mark with a new pastel. It has a harder edge, and you can draw, you can have linear marks like this. With a soft pastel, it's very soft. And you can see that more comes off with it. And in order to get those linear lines, you're going to have to really create an area on the pastel. It's a little bit trickier. So for like grasses, this is kind of nice, those new pastels. For the underpainting, they don't leave as much pastel on the paper, which is what I like to use if I can. And then I like to use more of the soft pastels to finish the painting. So this is a cooler green, darker green, right? Because it's in the distance. As I move forward, we're gonna have warmer. So I'm just kind of putting this on. Notice there's no rhyme or reason. I'm just light touch. I might even go a little warmer. Just a little bit. I'll take a picture.
So we'll stop here and give you guys a chance to catch up.
Absolutely. Yep. And ask questions. Go ahead and ask questions.
I just wanted to clarify, New Pastel is a brand.
Yes.
And it's a so-called hard pastels. And as Marie was saying, they leave a lot less color, which means you use them for underpainting so you don't fill up all your layers. And soft pastels is just a type of which you have many brands and that you use to do the actual painting and at the end.
The confusion is that, like, we use the term soft pastel to generally talk about all pastels that are chalky, right? So we also do that, right, to distinguish them from the oil pastels that are waxy.
Yeah.
But within soft pastels, there are softer pastels and harder pastels.
Yep.
And the new pastel is a hard pastel. Why is this important? You'll start to see as you get more into pastel that you're going to want variation in the kind of marks that you can make. And with pastels, unlike the brush where you can kind of mix everything, right, in different quantities, you can mix paints and apply the brush differently. With pastels, you got to get more pastels. That's why it's a little bit of a sinkhole, and why we
it does.
why we're like, okay, we're going to keep this class a pastel class, because we feel like, you know, if you're going to invest in this and continue coming, we want to keep offering it all year long.
For sure. I think, and it's just like if you're painting with brushes, if for those painters, you have like a liner brush, which is a really thin brush that you can come in and you're doing detail. I would say a new pastel is great for that. If you're thinking like, you know, a wider brush, like a size 10, and you're into like brush out larger swaths of space, think of your soft pastel, your larger pastels like that. It's an extension. It's just like a brush. So thinking about your pastels in that way, practicing mark making, meaning just like what I was showing you with the pastel, we have what's called semi-hard, and this is a semi-hard. And yeah, again, it's a little bit softer. It's round. So have fun playing with the pastels.
They're starting to cut. They're starting to come in. Marie, take a look. Will has sent something in. Mira has sent something in.
Very
take a look at them and evaluate.
Okay.
I feel like Mira's. Well, anyway, you go ahead. The back road needs to be attached a little bit more.
Yeah. So, Mira, what I want you to try to do is ignore these lines that I was talking about, really. Those are just suggestive.
Okay.
So we don't want to draw them out, right? We want to just use that as a guide. So
Okay.
just be just let your pastel move across your paper. Don't worry about drawing in
Okay.
the actual lines. Okay, so get darker back in here.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Cool, Jeannie. I like it.
Nice, Claudia.
Very
Great
nice.
control of your color. What about Williams is great too.
Oh,
the
yeah.
colors are slightly cooler, but I still really like them. I like what's happening there.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Claudia, beautiful. Claudia, I feel like something is happening with you. You're pushing up. You're getting like control of your color a little bit more. It's nice to see. Ooh, Julia, very nice.
Yeah.
Considering this is your first color piece with us, I think you did lovely.
I love it.
Nice work, everybody.
Very, very nice. I know
Isn't
that
it
there's...
starting to feel sort of satisfying now, even though you don't even have the tulips on it yet?
It really is.
When are the damn tulips coming in? That's what
I know, exactly.
Right?
When are those stupid tulips going to show up?
Ooh, nice, Anya. Gorgeous.
You were right about the oil. It just ruined everything, so I did it again because
Great.
it's oil.
Anya, if you can find hairspray, like an aerosol hairspray,
yeah,
that
I'm
will
using it
totally
now.
work. That will totally work. So oil soaks in and keeps wet longer.
Yeah, so I'm just using hairspray.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, we learned. This is how we learn, right? Linda, beautiful. Linda, I'm really appreciating also how you're handling your shapes and your values. It's nice.
Thank you.
Very
Janet,
nice.
interesting. I like it.
Okay, this is another weird question. I noticed
Sandra, nice.
these are very short.
What
And
was that?
I noticed that Marie, all your pieces of chalk are very short.
Because
and mine are. Do you break them to make them? Because it feels like it's easier for you to get into those smaller spaces with the soft.
Yeah, I do break my new pastels. I do. I like them this size. Whoops, I'll show you.
Okay. Yeah.
And no, that is a good question. I have some. I have some in longer, but it is harder to move those when they're longer like that. So, and speaking of tulips, we will mark in some right now with color, just the base color. Oh, very nice, you guys. Good job, Sandra and Cindy. That looks nice.
Great work.
This is fun.
Marie, can you take a picture of whatever you're going to use next, the colors, so that people
can,
or so see them, just start to gather them?
Yes.
I think that I'm noticing. So we're still figuring out pacing, you guys, and I think it's helpful for you to be able to look and start to see what colors she's using. There's a lot of colors in this, potentially.
Yes, because it's harder to tell once she's got them in her hands.
Yeah, and it's just we can't see the colors on the screen the way we want to.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I will show you right now what I've got here. There's a row of pinks and a row of oranges. That helps here. And what I'm going to do right now is use at the top of my orange row is a red. And I'm just going to use this to mark in some of my flowers on my painting, just to kind of say, okay, this is where they're going to sit.
I hate to say this. Can you take a picture of that red so they can see which one it is?
Oh, absolutely.
Because we just can't. It's just too, it's Zoom. Yeah.
So it's like an orangey red.
An orangey red. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and I'm just thinking about my picture, like visually, where I know that the flowers sitting in the front are going to be larger and then they get smaller as we move back because we can't see as much detail. And you can see that in the picture. You can just see the little tops of the tulips. But really, I'm only going to pick out like a couple really prominent ones. And you can even draw on your picture. How do you want them to sit? It doesn't have to be exactly like here. We have enough information to tell us what they look like and where the light's hitting them. So now I'm designing my composition. Where do I want my flowers to sit? And if I'm having my focal point here, we know that they're going to get smaller and smaller back here, and probably need to set some more tulips like this and kind of lead our eye. So I'm thinking, you know, okay, well, I can set a tulip here, maybe one here.
Notice how dark this is still
One
reading, you
here.
guys.
One here.
And notice how she's only kind of using the edge of her pastel to do a kind of little square for each of the tulips that she's, that's nice, interesting.
And I can move them wherever I want, but this is just kind of visually like, oh, okay, I like that one there. Maybe I'll make that one a little bigger, this one smaller. I mean, you get to have the part of like, okay, maybe I don't want one there. Maybe I want one down here. So we're just kind of thinking.
So note, and I want to emphasize something else here, which is that she's still using the picture to help create the randomness of the display tulips. If you don't pay attention to the picture at all and you just start laying marks down, you're going to create little soldiers, a little line of soldiers, and it will look terrible. So so you have to really use where the spaces are. You still, when you're looking at tulips, you can move stuff around a little bit, but really what you're looking at, Marie, can you circle the area where they're really looking in white on your source? It's really there, you're looking at that. This is the area. This is the area that's closest to you. So here is where you see the distinctive tulips, right? We're not thinking about any of the rest of those guys, which are farther back there. You're kind of using the shapes and the space arrangements to put in as many tulips as you like right there, because they're closest and that's what you can see. And that's where we come to a single point of focus, a single subject. You can jump in there, Marie.
Yeah, no, it is. I find sometimes when I'm busy trying to plan out my composition, even drawing out on your printout like this is awesome, or doing a thumbnail sketch to get a better idea of where you want to put your flowers. Just like I said, you can put them, but you know that these are going to be larger here in the front, right? And we're designing our painting. We're wanting our eye to follow to here. And so how do we do that? We know these are larger in the front, smaller as they get, but we don't want it in a row per se. And I'll show you how we do that without creating little soldiers, as Leah said. I'll show you how to do that.
Our mind wants to, our left brain wants to create a pattern where none exists.
Yes.
Left brain will, and what happens is you'll find yourself getting tired, and you'll know because you're starting to do little in nature where it does not exist. So paying attention to this front area and looking at the randomness of those shapes.
And something also we do often, and trees are another thing that we like to do lines like this, and even spacing. So look at your painting. Do you have lines of trees that are evenly spaced? Your mind, your brain does that automatically, even though, I mean, look at the picture. You need to look at what you see and paint what you see, and know that we need to make these trees different heights, different widths.
Even if the trees are the same height, which they sometimes are in nature, you want to change it.
You do.
Having trees sitting right next to each other like this is what my friend Don Bishop, the landscape painter, calls boobs. like that's what you're thinking about. But you're like 2 points up like this. That's what everybody's really. Don't get boobs in your mountains or your trees.
I love it. That's so true, though.
Boobs. It's like if you did to take a workshop with him, he doesn't teach anymore, but when he was teaching, that's what I thought, watch out for your boobs. You've got boobs back there.
It is, you will start catching yourself. Right now in my painting, look at, I mean, these are all at the same height. I know now when I come back in with my sky, I'm gonna carve down and give some different detail and more interest into the trees. But even I do it. I just go in and fill them in and say, oh, look, they're all the same height. So we just want to be aware of that. And so that's what you're learning in this class is just how to be aware of what your brain just wants to do, and we have to stop it. So, all right, so we've got marks in for some ideas of where we want to put our flowers, and now we're going to start back in on our lights, and the lightest of our lights is our sky. So at this point, let's get our sky in. It does kind of help set the mood for the painting and kind of get a little bit more of a base. I'm going to send you a picture of what colors I have for my sky. And let's see here. It's in the blue turquoise family. And I'll bring up so this is kind of the blue, light blue color. You can see that. And then I have a little bit more warm turquoise. And then even more of a blue, darker blue. So those are I hope you can see those and I can take a picture of that, if that helps. I'm going to start with my lighter blue at the top, just lightly scumbling. I want to keep some of this pink underneath. I think it's pretty. I like the underpainting showing, so just the light blue at the top. I'm not going down to the horizon quite yet because I have a warmer turquoise that I showed you. As you know, we come down to the horizon, it gets warmer. I'm using it on my side. Again, just light touch. And as we kind of come out over to the right side, it's going to become a little bit darker in value. So we're not with the light as much. And so I'm just coming in.
Is that the same blue or did you switch to the darker one?
This is the darker one. It's a little bit darker. Okay, so let's address the back side, starting here at the base of the trees, and work forward. So I'm kind of thinking about what I see here. And we know the sun's coming in this side, so we're going to start with some light colors, and I'll take pictures. It's going to be in the orange and yellow. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to do a lighter salmon color almost. That's a little too light. This is like a lemon yellow light. I'm just kind of coming in with marks over light.
It's interesting to me how much time we are spending not painting tulips in where there's like so much.
Yeah, it does kind of take that. We're getting there. Let's see.
Marie, can you share what lemon yellow color you choose?
Sure.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I'm just working my way down. I'm starting to look at where my flowers are, and they're still in the distance. So I'm just dragging my pastel over it, kind of in short marks to suggest the tops of the flowers.
So now we're finally getting to some tulips. Like now, here we go. Finally, at 1.5 hours in, we're getting to the tulips. And that's just to kind of point out that like, Marie's teaching you a really valuable lesson about setup, about how much time it takes, right, to create the pieces. Boy, that's already, this is already looking so good. And notice her mark making. It's a horizontal, short, choppy strokes to kind of indicate spaces between the flowers. Hi, buddy.
This is a different pink.
This is kind of
one
like a darker purple almost. Yeah.
You take a picture of it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was in the group of pinks that I sent.
So I had a question here.
Yes.
I'm using some very chalky pastels and don't really have anything else to use. I'm struggling to get any of those highlights to pick up on the darker areas. I do have a fixing spray? Should I?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So that's the same thing. If you don't, that's what your pastels will blend together and you will get dulls. But if you fix it either with the alcohol, like Marie did with the brush, or with a fixative spray, then they're going to be gorgeous. So great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
And I actually have some fixative that I can come in here and show you what it can do too. Because I do like, especially with flowers and doing something like this, because it just adds such a really nice texture.
Notice that her tulip fields are kind of lighter pink in the background, and as she comes down there, because she's adding a darker layer. Hey Sandra, I don't know if you can see this, but look. Here. He's watching.
Well, let me see.
See me?
Oh, he's sweet. See, he just wants to be with you.
He is mellowing.
And he's just calm.
He's mellowing out tremendously. It's interesting every day. I know it's still going to take a while, and he still has wild periods, but he's definitely mellowing out. He's a good lap kitty.
I'm coming just in a little bit more with a more intense purple.
And you're making horizontal and vertical marks?
I'm making horizontal marks here.
But but interestingly, using the pastel vertically.
Yeah.
So both of those observations are true, Sandra, in a technical sense.
And I'm just kind of coming back and forth with the same colors. You know, thinking about still haven't done my tulips yet, I know. They're here. We won't forget about them. I may come in here and spray, but still wanting my lighter lights to kind of come out here. So I'm just coming back in a little bit. I'll take a picture.
Oh, it's looking so pretty, Marie. So this is a lot happened here. So if you have any questions about in what order she laid things, what colors, don't hesitate to stop and ask. Very nice, Marie. Marie, I have to say, this is one of the things that's really neat. I love this idea that you laid that path in. It was kind of there, but I like how you emphasized it much more. So note that when you're working with photographs, which we do because that works well for Zoom, you're still making a lot of decisions about what to include and what not. That's amazing.
Well, and I mean, so you can see the dark still peeking through from the color. If we didn't have that dark pathway there, it would just be washed out. And yes, maybe we would have flowers to indicate, but even still, this directs your eye. And so it is. It's not until you get to the end where you see, oh, now I get why you did that.
Right. So get that this is a whole new, I feel like I'm betting everybody here had no idea about these steps. They would not have been the way you would have done that. You would have probably started with trying to create flowers and then added things in the background, and it would have all, and you would have been like, how do I prioritize what gets done? So essentially what Marie did in this painting very specifically is before she adds any detail to the area that needs detail, which is where the tulips are, she did the whole background. She showed you how to do the whole background, because the background is, if you want to think about it, kind of like the negative space of your tulips that are in the front. So
Absolutely.
that is like what, and of course you're doing a whole landscape. You're not just doing one tulip, right? So you're having to think about all those pieces. Very nice. Ooh.
Yep. And so this is how we're going to punch up the color.
Sandra, Marie, take a look at Sandra's. I like it, but I feel like she needs a little bit of
doesn't look quite right.
Natalia, great.
So Sandra, I would not have as much of the light pinks in the foreground.
Okay.
Keep your lights up here, because as we're coming down, we're getting warmer and more vibrant
and darker.
And darker, yes. And so, so yes, keep your lights into this section here.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
Nice. I know, and you feel like these.
Look at Natalia's, isn't that?
Oh,
gorgeous?
I love it. Oh, that's really pretty.
You got it, Natalia. You got it. You really got it.
Great I love your trees and sky too.
Yep, and I think your mark making is just. You're already starting to feel this feeling of a sea of tulips.
Yeah, and so I'm just kind of adding in some burgundy to indicate, maybe here's some ones that are going to get covered up with foliage and grasses. And so I'm like, oh, I think I'll add one over here. And I'm just randomly kind of, thinking, oh, where do I want to put another little one? These probably will get covered up, but they're darker. They're cooler. It's a cooler burgundy. So I'll take a picture of it so you can see. I think at this point, I may actually use the spray fixative real quick here, kind of show you how we can add some texture. What this does is it fixes the, and I'm only spraying in here. One thing you can do if you don't want the spray to get up in this, you can hold a piece of paper just like this and just spray. And you can leave a line, or you can just kind of do that, and it just darkens up this area. And I'm just gonna have it dry out here real quick.
Marie, I have a question about the fixative.
Yes.
I was just wondering, because I had to use it already, because basically the colors were really not overlapping each other, and this might have to do with the quality of my pastels. But is it possible to lay down just in case another layer of fixative, and then it will just like get too muddy? Or
you can lay another layer. I've used 2 layers of fixative before, so it's not going to hurt it. I'm just letting it dry. It's almost there.
Did I hear you also say you could use hairspray? Because I haven't got any fixative.
Yeah, you can use hairspray.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. I'm just kind of
Did you spray the whole painting?
No, I just did the lower half.
Okay.
It will darken things up a little bit. And so I just did a little bit down here, because what you'll see, I'm just kind of letting it dry. What you'll see is it fixes it, and then you can drag colors over very lightly and it adds this really pretty texture because it's fixed, so it's not mixing with the color.
It's beautiful. I like it.
Thank you. And now we get to move on to the actual tulips. Are we excited? So one thing I talked about making things glow, and I want to show you an example. So if we were to have a flower and it's like this, right? And we know that the sun is shining on it, and we want it like a lighter red, like a pinky color, and we want to add a highlight. This will just, it doesn't look good. It looks washed out. But if we had a red flower and we wanted to add a highlight where the sun's hitting it, we would use a color like an orange, and it would pop. It would glow a lot more than that white. Just so when you're thinking about punching up the color on your flowers, making it glow, think of your color wheel. Think about the warmer colors. And so with our tulips, we're going to come in with our pretty pinks. And let me take a picture. Oh, look at everyone's. I love it.
Aren't they looking good? They're looking really good. So guys, we're going to go another 10 or 15 minutes beyond the hour. So don't worry, because we started, you know, if we spend a lot of time on introductions, we will add that time. So you have more time. We've got about half an hour.
So I think you need to show us how to make these flowers, please.
So I'm really, all I'm doing is just kind of scumbling over the marks of the flower that I had made.
The darker part.
The darker part. So I'm not really essentially drawing out the flower. I'm just using my pastel to look at the lights and the darks and just saying, okay.
So when you stop this using this color, Marie, stop and take a picture because it's a little hard to see, but people can see. So if
you leave some of the red underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what she's doing, you guys, is not drawing the outline of the tulip. She's looking at the light and the dark of the tulip, and she's trying to add in the lighter areas with a kind of medium to light on top of the red. We'll have her take a picture so you can see more clearly. Watch her mark making. Don't try to finish this on your own. Notice how she's kind of scooping out the underneath on the left side, because that's like really where the light is coming from. The light is hitting the flowers on the left. And then it's, so there's this kind of like almost a little, like a backwards J. That's the best way to put that. So when you're done with this, Marie, take a picture and then let people catch up. So it's not a outlining of the flower. It's more like a looking at the dark and light shapes of the flower and laying those in almost like blocks. What's nice about the structure of the tulip is that it has not all flowers are like this, but this tulip has very defined petals, which means they've got some nice sharp, hard edges, kind of blocky shapes. So you can get away with a lot with very little references. Feel free to just watch at this point, because here's where you might not. Are you using a different color, Marie?
Yeah, this is it's like a harder pastel and pink.
And it's darker.
Yeah. A little.
So stop it. So at this point, stop, take a picture, let them see.
Okay.
And then take a look at people's as they try, just for a minute. We have time, we have half an hour. So yeah.
And notice I have not put in any stems yet. nothing. They're still floating, and that's okay. Because the way I'm going to pull these larger ones forward and the way I'm going to push those back is with the stems and with the leaves. And so, and I can do that very simply.
And notice that these tulips in the front, the lighter colors are popping out as lighter against the darker purple beside, area beside the flowers, the sort of field of flowers that's further back. Notice how light those look against the darker background. So that's, even though it's not super dark, it's not black or dark blue. Nice.
So that's a warmer green that I just kind of scumbled over the front.
And darker, looks like. And go ahead and take a picture of that. Yeah. And then Marie, stop for a minute. I know you want to keep going. I know you're like in the final stretch. I know you're in the final stretch, but give them a minute to catch up. And take a look at the thread to see what's coming across.
It's terrible. Don't
worry. Sandra, I want you to recognize, I've been learning about your thinking process. You think, I think the thinking, your desire for precision can sometimes get in the way of your seeing the whole picture. So what you think is bad might actually be good. Take a picture of it and send it across. And Marie, take a look out for what's on the WhatsApp thread. I want you to respond to everybody at this point.
Okay, yes, so, all right, Sandra, great. The one thing, remember, what we want to try to do is only have a couple that are larger than the others, right?
Those are all the same size.
I know, and they're at the back, they're as big as the ones in the front.
So make those smaller.
Yep. So you can
and make some in the front smaller too, because not everything in the front is larger. If you look, you'll see. So your mind is creating little soldiers where there are none. Just notice that. And by the way, you're not the only one doing this. I am 90%. I'm 100% positive.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I've reduced them.
Yeah, and what's nice about pastels is you can kind of just scumble over, you can just sort of brush over with your thumb or with a rag and
with
kind of
a bit of
push
green
things out. Yep. So notice that even though like it's just really amazing how the brain wants to make everything orderly. The left brain, that is a left brain thing.
Well, and look at mine. I've got two right here and I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, we'll see what we need to do with that. But it's amazing what your brain does. It just.
Well, it's also because we're doing them like this in a row, like, so yes, the other brain takes over.
Yep.
Well, it still took terrible.
Oh, nice. Same thing, you guys. I look at your flowers. Are they the same size? Try to vary the sizes. Very nice.
Marie, can you send a photo of yours over? Oh, you already did. Never mind.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are you?
There you go. Good. So we're coming down to the home stretch, you guys. Good job, everyone. One thing I learned about pastels and paintings and looking at people's work. It's a lot more than you think. Very nice, Will. That looks great. So in your foreground, Will, I would go a little bit darker off to the left side of your, just be careful of bringing in your light orange down here into the front.
Okay. Yeah, great, thank you.
Yes. There you go, Sandra. Okay, good. So,
oh, Jeannie, that looks great.
But bring some of that light pink across your path a little bit. You see?
Yep.
Just kind of lightly glaze it over. You can still see the green underneath, and just you don't have to go around every flower, but yeah. Ooh, Jeannie, I love those colors. So remember, Jeannie, we want only just a few flowers. So the ones off to the left, we're going to cover that with some grasses, okay?
I knew that was too many.
Yeah. Good. And Julia, go ahead and bring some of your, in your horizon line, bring some of those orange colors over your path.
The windows aren't open, but the both doors, I have the screen door open and this one is closed.
Yes. So Mira, think about the size of your flowers. Those need to be smaller in the back and bigger in the front.
Okay, thanks, Marie.
So, yeah, you can take some of your pinks and kind of just go over them a little bit to
Okay.
just so they won't
Make
pop
it small.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Yeah, good.
There's a huge, she said, there's a huge, she just wrote and said, there's a huge outbreak. There's not a huge outbreak, but there's like, people are coming down with it and we're gonna figure out the new one.
Okay. So I think what we'll do, I'll add some more green and build up the front for you.
Okay.
And I'm going to, I'll show you the greens that I have here before I start. So I'm going to start with the darker green, and I'm just looking, and I'm taking and I'm pulling up just lightly. Just lightly.
So it's interesting to try it. I hope that people are noticing that and paying attention to it and learning. But
And these are not lines, these are like the whole side of a pastel?
Yep, just on the side.
Okay.
So I'm just thinking, so we have you, it might be better also, we have you, the parents come to drop it as well.
That's why I like doing the fixative, because then you can get that really nice texture.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty saturated.
Yeah. And then we can come in with the stem, and I have like a dark pastel and a new pastel, and I'm just kind of pressing just a little bit. I'm not dragging it real hard. I'm just indicating where a stem might be. And like this.
Hold on just a second.
Right? Maybe one that kind of comes this way.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so glad that it went on by.
And I'll take a picture.
You're also putting stems where we don't see, or not,
Just,
only where you have flowers?
Just very light. Very light.
No, it looks, yours looks good. Mine doesn't look like that at all.
Now I have the light green, and I'm just going to indicate we've got some lights on the top of our foliage, and so I'm just on the side, like I was talking about, you know, using it on the side. That's what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh, it was bad. And at first I thought it was just the haze. It's hard to read. It's hard to read. It's So Rose right up to you.
Oh my God, right into the house, my eyes, my
Yeah,
skin
so
started
maybe you
burning.
shouldn't like, maybe today's not the day.
Well, let me
Go
see.
in and see how it feels,
Yeah.
but like, feel free to come in tomorrow. And, maybe we'll see how it is. I'm gonna have like too many people come. Right now you'll see there's like a poker stuck up there holding the food up. Sort of
I'll take a picture of that.
Yeah, just don't even touch it. I'll have somebody deal with that tomorrow, but. I just have to take it off. Because.
And then we can take a light, same color as that light green. And I'm just kind of adding a little highlight, just like this, on the stem, just light, just very light touch.
It's not as, and it's
very, very light touch.
Better than it was.
So, and we're on the light left side of the stem, right? Because that's where.
Thank you for the coffee, my love.
Where it is.
And I'm sorry about the. Yeah, you are a shithead. That could have been really bad.
Thinking of our pathway, I'm going to use some of this light green up in here.
Possible problems.
Fucking God, you little jerk.
Bree, could you just review really quick what you did with the greens down there? So you started with a dark and you put in stems.
Yep.
And then you used a lighter one and spumbled around, and now
Yeah.
you're using it even lighter?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Good job, guys. Great for following process. Great.
I'll show you again. I'm suggesting the lights. I'm suggesting, but I'm not actually drawing in every little stem, every little leaf. I'm just using the shapes and using the values to direct the eye. You put it together, your brain knows these are flowers, and then this is, you know, a field of flowers, and I'm using those colors to indicate, right? Because these are the colors. And so I'm just bringing those, filling those in, right?
Right.
I think I need a
Oh,
little more.
sorry about that, guys. I should have.
You made a racket, Leah.
I know, you're having fun. I'm kind of adding some more light green.
Okay.
Nice.
Poor little thing.
He doesn't get to have everything he wants all the time. Gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. I thought my headphones would mute that noise, but it sounds
That's
like
okay.
it expanded them. Nice, Claudia. Cindy, good. Cindy, you need a couple of bigger shapes in there. So see, yours are all the same size, but they're smaller. Look how Marie has three bigger sized. And Nina, you want to, well, that's getting better. You have a few too many big ones, I think. She might want 3 or 4 big ones, and then maybe the rest medium and small. Anya, not bad.
I like your shapes of your flowers. I think you need, well, Marie's working on this. I'm just helping out, Marie, actually helping out. So Anya, I think you need to bring more of your colors across, like your background tulips need to come closer to the edge of your big petals. You have kind of spaces where there isn't anything. So you want to bring those lighter, those lighter pinks and purples in. Ooh, okay. William, nice. So William, feel free again to, like, if you're like losing, if you feel like you're losing control, you can spray as many times as you want. I like the shapes. I like what's happening here. Very nice. Beautiful. Sandra, getting better. So Sandra, your
Hold on, I'm
edges...
just about to take one.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Sorry, I see. Yeah. Jean, nice. Jean, you've got a few too many flowers pulled out. These get rid of the ones that are on the edges. Julia, nice. Mira, your flowers are looking a little too soldiery. Oh wait, so I'm just catching up here. Claudia, that's gorgeous. Jean, oh great. Never mind. She already told you all this stuff. So Sandra, there's still too much. You have too hard an edges, like where your pinks leave off, your pinks of your background tulips leave off. There should be more soft edges. We shouldn't be seeing these strong lines. I can point to.
It's because the pink wasn't going where it was, so I had to touch
well,
it
you
up.
need to find another, maybe
Okay,
start
I'll
going
blend
with
it.
your dark a bit, with way more blending. I love your back layers. Oh, Janet, nice. Janet, you need a couple, I think a couple of yours need to be bigger. A couple of your flowers could be bigger, like 2 or 3. Otherwise, it's pretty great. Yes, you can always use fixative again, right? Because things will start to get nice blending, Linda. Nice variation. This is good.
These are looking great.
Aren't they, Marie? You keep working as you need to, and you can jump in as well. Very nice.
No.
And Janet, I was noticing as well that like there's a little too, once again, there's these very obvious dark spaces around the edge of all your tulips, which is creating a kind of hard edge we want to get rid of.
Okay.
I feel like, Janet, lately I'm seeing you work with hard edges a lot more. And I'm not gonna, oh, William, wow. That looks great.
Yeah, that looks great, actually. Well done.
Oh, very nice, Anya. So bring in more. So Anya, look at what's happening at the bottom of Marie's painting on either side of the tulips that are in the front. It's darker, so the pink doesn't come all the way in. So keep going, keep layering that color in. That's looking great. And
at the bottom, you say, okay.
Yeah, the bottom level. And also notice what Marie's doing with this light right now. She's adding light on certain sides where the light is coming from, sort of sharper highlights, we call that.
I feel also that my blue is too blue. Maybe it's also like
you can mix a touch of orange in with it if you want to. A touch of orange, just a great, but very nice mark making. Wonderful, you guys. These are fucking great. So this is really good. So your last 15 minutes. And William, it's great to have you back in class. I'm glad you're here because look what you did. It's great.
Thank you.
Are you pleased?
I am very pleased.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You guys are doing great. Janet, I was going to say, I'm noticing that you're working with harder edges a lot because I feel like that's coming into your work. Just be careful not to let them dominate, because in some ways the harder edges, particularly with landscapes, there's just very few hard edges. So pay attention to that as you're moving, as you're moving in this direction of illustrative, like illustration and harder lines. Oh, nice, Mira. So Mira, I'm going to say the same thing for you. So up here, if you look up here, you'll see I can see very clearly the hard lines, the edges between your dark and your light areas. You want to scumble lights over your dark areas and dark over
Okay.
your light areas so you can't see those hard lines.
Okay.
You see, like kind of above the tulip and also into the tulips, right? So you
Yeah.
don't want any there, like there's a line. If you look on the left, the second tulip to the left, actually all along that edge, there's this white line that just stops where the dark goes.
Okay.
There should
Okay.
be a soft edge over that so that we
Okay.
don't see those lines, but very nice.
Okay.
Coming along,
Thanks.
practicing. We're always practicing. This is way hard. And I would say this is one of our most advanced classes. So if you're not, I mean, it's designed for people of all levels, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of concepts happening here. So if you're like not quite getting it, don't worry. That is just beautiful, Marie. How awesome.
Yes, this is fun. I mean,
this is the fun part.
You can, I mean, you can just go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And add all sorts of
Anya, that looks great.
So really pay attention to the value shifts happening in Marie's work. Marie, can you point to the bottom of your show where the value shifts are as you go up?
So you'll notice on my highlights of my tulips, that's going back to what I was saying. You would want to add that light pink, but if I added light pink, it would be flat. It would not pop. So I'm using the warmer, brighter colors like orange as the reflective part of my tulip. Now those are right here. These down here are cooler and in the distance. So how do I paint that? I use a more purpley blue.
So Jean, I want to just jump in here and say, this looks great. Your path is too hard edged. Yep. So you want to bring lights. Notice how Marie has kind of obscured her path. And I'm sorry, Marie, what I meant was if you go literally vertically up the painting, you'll see that the bottom striata is much darker, except where the lights of the tulips up front are. As you go up, there's a kind of medium layer. And then as you go higher, it gets lighter. So if you can point to that, can you point to that? I think you know what I'm saying here, right? So darker strata. No, so here. Start at the base. So start at the base, go vertically across, sorry, go horizontally across.
Okay.
There's this horizontal layer of dark.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
and the light tulips are thinking. And then as you go up,
it gets lighter and lighter.
It gets lighter and lighter. So notice that. Don't, every time we see a hard edge, it bumps for us. Also, Jean, you've got a couple boobs in there.
I know.
You've got some boobs in your background trees. What you're doing is some trees are short and kind of mid-size, and you don't have that mid-size really recognized it right in spaces. So trees don't really sit in spaces like that. So you could give a few chalky blocks. But great work, everybody. Are you pleased? I'm pleased.
I am. I think it's amazing what everyone did today, because I know this is not an easy task, even though it looks easy, but it's a lot to think about. And I hope that I've showed you a few techniques, I guess, that can help you work through a process of painting something like this. But yeah, everyone did really great. Beautiful.
Keep looking. We're going to go another 10 minutes, Marie, if that's all right with you.
Sure, absolutely.
Just to get going. And just take a look at what they're sending through and talk them through the last steps.
Yeah, so always towards the end is just looking and talking about refining. So now I'm just thinking, okay, what do I need to look at? Is all my trees like soldiers, my what do I need to add up here that maybe needs to have some attention? And so I was just thinking, oh, I might add a few lights to my trees.
Nope.
And this is like a...
Oh, Natalia, yeah. gosh. In a couple of areas, Natalia, you may want to bring a few more mediums in the path right behind the tulips in front.
Yes.
It's a bit dark, so put in some lighter areas or spray it if you need to, and then lay your lighters in.
Maybe spray it a bit more.
Maybe spray it.
Yeah.
Or you can also use a toothbrush to scrape off the top layers of the dark, and then you can usually layer in the light on top and it reads lighter.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the craft paper is kind of, I mean, yes, that is not as heavy as some of the pastel papers that we're using, Nina. So go ahead and take a look at the supply list and you'll see other things you could get. We'll be teaching, Marie's going to be teaching this all year, every Sunday. So this is worth it, possibly, to invest in pastels if you like what they do. Nice. Okay, Marie.
Yes.
You'll want to stop here and just look at what people are doing.
Okay. Oh.
Mira coming along better. We can still see those hard lines though. So don't feel,
How do I get rid of them?
What? You have not got rid of them. So
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you
how
need
do I
to
do
do
that?
is
Okay.
you need to, Marie, can you look at Mira's and see if
Yeah,
you
I
can
see it.
demonstrate what she should be doing?
So Mira, when we were taking the pastels on the back here underneath the trees, you need to take your pastel.
Okay.
And you need to go like this and drag it in a horizontal across the path. Okay.
Okay.
See how she's doing it in little choppy pieces?
Just little choppy
Janet,
pieces.
there you go.
Okay.
So Janet, your edges between your dark and your light path are way too hard right now. So that dark area in the back should sort of disappear.
Yes.
Under layers of pastel. We should not see that where the orange is kind of, Marie, can you point out where she's got it?
Right here, Janet.
I was just working on that actually.
Yep. Perfect. So just start in this fashion.
And we're just jumping, sorry again, once again, guys, it's not that you haven't done a great job in 20 different areas of this painting. We're just jumping into the problem area.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you haven't done great.
Yeah, this is a lot, you guys. It is.
And you can keep working on it after class, kind of looking at what Marie's done and sort of trying to mimic those soft edges. I think what happens is you lay an element down like this dark path, and then you feel like you can't get rid of it. You're kind of married to it. Like I like to say, you're married to the line, you're married to the thing. You feel like you have to show everything equally, but that's actually not true. You want to, like, if you look at her background, although she has area that's dark and light, it's a very, when you go to the back, you can't really see the transitions very much from the dark path to the light areas on either side of it. So you want something that's more subtle in the background, which means you can cover up those lines so that they're not seen as quickly, as easily. That's your left brain attaching itself to those hard lines, that path, putting it down and then going, oh, nice, Sandra, getting better. Sandra, you could use some variation in your mark making in your background. Do you see how Marie has areas in the background, tulip fields, where there's lights kind of laying on top of darks?
You mean not the far background, like
I mean like the mid background where the tulip level starts.
Right.
Jean, better, much better. Much better. I like how everybody's looks different too. Nobody's going to do this the same. See how she's kind of working the little back edges? We're going to go for 5 more minutes. So Marie, how does Anya's look? Ooh, getting better, Anya. Very nice. Super.
Yes.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
feel, thank you. I just feel that it's so hard to find this balance between like
hard and soft.
Having this difference between light and dark, but not having, you know, pieces of light and dark.
Well, what you need to think about, Janet, you still don't have flowers that are big enough. You need one. I would suggest taking the 2 flowers that you have on the top left and turning them into one big flower. So that will probably help. And then maybe one more that size. Ooh, nice, Claudia. Nice. Yeah, that's the, just know that everything is relative, Anya. So it's all related to what is next to it, right? Is next to a thing. So you can usually tell lightness or darkness based on which thing is light, feels like it's lighter and coming forward, and then what's happening around that thing to push it back. But that's actually a key. I mean, this is just a practice. In a minute. So you guys go ahead and take your finals. Nice. I'm going to go 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to have you send in your finals, and then we're going to chat for a minute about where our materials lists are and what we're going to be doing all year, because I got a lot of questions about that. Better, Mira, better.
Okay.
Better.
I tried. I don't have a lot of color,
I know.
so.
Yeah, and I know your this is a very beginning thing, so it's just easy to think about it. Much better, actually, significantly. Don't worry. It's hard to see this concept of dark edges. Ah, Julia, very nice. Very nice. We think about borders in this very rigid way. And so it's hard to remember that in some cases, the flowers actually come up over into the soft. They don't remain in this dark field. In some areas, the flowers come over the edge of the background, right? These flowers in the front come over. So, but we want to organize it in little pieces and in blocks. Very nice. Okay, Marie, let's stop here. Go ahead and take a final picture. I know she's going to keep working on this in the next class. So she'll send you her next layer, but this is where it is right now. Take a picture. Send over what you want.
Okay, let me see here.
Yeah, and I'm going to remove the spotlight right now. We're going to go to gallery view if you can. And then I'm going to share the screen. So I got a lot of questions about what we're going to be learning all year, what's happening. I wanted to show you where that information is. So we'll share the screen here. Here it is. So if you go to here, theroamingstudio.com, and you go to what we teach. Ooh, very nice, Marie. What we teach, you're going to see what the classes, what the sort of general classes are. So here on this side are suggested supply lists for each medium. And if you're doing a core curriculum, so this is not a core curriculum class. Pastel Landscapes is going to stay the same all year. all year, it's going to be the same class. But most of the workday classes are organized in what's called the core curriculum. So here you're going to see what we're teaching and when. Okay, so from January to June, we're doing painting. January to mid-February, we're going to be working with acrylic, and then you can stay with acrylic, or if you want to go to oil, I'll be moving my demos to oil painting until the end of March. April and May, we'll be doing watercolor painting. And then June through December, we're doing drawing. So all of these things, all of these things are here. And the other thing to remember is that if you want information about the classes and the schedule, you can come to the guest area, the Art at Work portal, and type in Art is Fun. And when you click on that, you'll see, here it comes, right? Here is the schedule. Here's the PDF of the schedule here. Here are the Zoom links. Here are the supply, here's the link to the supply and the tech lists. Here are the classes based on time zones in the schedule. Here are our partners right now. So you can find all that information here. So I guess I'll just copy that and put it in the chat. So a lot of this information, here we'll stop the share, can all be found here when what we're going to be painting, but you'll also see it in the schedule. So that's the work, and then this is Art is Fun is the password. Right? So anyway, we're not going to go through does anybody want to share, whoops, what they think they learned today, what they think they did well today, and what they think they need to work on? Does anybody want to share that? New people.
So I learned how to use the fixative spray properly.
Excellent. And you did it well.
Darker and darker, and yeah, really useful.
There you go, Janet. That's perfect. Well done. What, Jean, what do you think you did well today?
This is the least literal I've tried to be.
Nice. And I like that. That's exactly right. It's the least literal, and you've had success with that, right? We're letting other areas be softer.
Yeah.
And not be paying attention to every detail. That is, Jean, that is the one lesson we wanted everybody, like if we wanted everybody to get anything, it was that. So excellent. Anybody else? Claudia, Sandra, Julia, anybody want to say what they thought they did well, what they need to work on?
Well, I will tell everyone, you guys did amazing, really. Beautiful pictures, and if you don't feel like you did very well, there's a lot